Hello, I'm Heather. This is my friend Molly. Yes, you're cute. And I'm going to take 3 deep breaths and then I'll start talking. Okay, I'll get a little bit better. Now I'm going to do a little reading from this book, Meditations for Women Who Do Too Much by Wilson Schaef. And lately I've been recording a voice memo for a friend of mine who's in a real rough health situation. And I send it to her, and that's one way I stay just kind of in touch with her without it needing to, become like a big conversation or something. It's mostly because I have really extraordinarily limited energy. And also I'm wearing my cozy suit today, right now. It's a full suit, zips up right here, and I just have like normal clothes on underneath, but I want to be extra warm and cozy right now, and it's a little chilly in here, so this is perfect. Yeah. I haven't worn this suit as much as I think I would have appreciated to wear it. I just kept kind of forgetting about it and not using it. I've been using it lately. Okay. So reading today. Let me get my phone, pull her up. Good morning, dear Ayana. It's afternoon. You know how time is. So I'm doing my reading, and this one is super timely for me right now. The theme is unrealistic promises / despair. Quote, "We workaholics make so many promises that no human being could possibly keep them. That is one of the ways we keep ourselves feeling bad about ourselves." End quote, by a woman named Lynn. One of the problems that we workaholics and careaholics have is that we overextend ourselves and believe that we can and should be able to fulfill the promises we make. We want to be nice. We want to be members of the team. We want to be seen as competent and dependable. We also hate to say no when someone notices us and has the confidence in us to ask us to do something. We want to be able to deliver. Yet, when we do not check out with ourselves whether we can or want to fulfill our promises, we end up overcommitting ourselves and ultimately feeling bad, which just feeds our self-esteem problems. Damn it. Thought for the day: checking to see if I can and want to fulfill a promise before I make it is good for me and good for others. Indeed. Hey, little Molly. Okay. All right. I hope you have a good day, dear. Love you. Bye. Okay. So that's done. Oh, I sent it at 1:11. I love it. It was a little longer than usual. It was 1 minute 40. A lot of times they end up being 1 minute and 11 seconds long, which I think is super fun without noticing it. Okay. Yay, I sent it at 1:11. All right, so a couple other things I wanted to get on here. Well, actually, let me think. Was there something I wanted to say about that? Yes. So I'm not going to really get into, I feel like I present as a workaholic, but I don't. I hate that fucking term. I've used it a lot. I have identified as a workaholic. But I think it's deeper than that. I think it's the right name. So this theme, the unrealistic promises, and yes, I find myself making promises to family members, to friends, to randos, that I then and I'm unable to fulfill. I totally forget. It could be something as simple as, oh my God, yeah, I have this amazing resource that I thought of for you. I'll send you the link. And then I will not write that down and I will forget. And then, so that's a promise I've made and I'm not going to be able to fulfill it because I can't remember who it was or what it was. And yeah. So those sort of promises, I know that I can reduce those by just saying in the moment, hey, why don't you write this down? Go look it up. Or literally sending them the information in the moment. And just not making those sort of agreements. Because those are little tiny ones, but they really add up. Especially when I have so many ideas that help other people. I also make other kind of promises like that really are more me imagining, but the way I word it, the way I say it, it comes out as like, oh my God, this sounds the most like a most amazing idea. Yes, we're going to do this totally. Like a current example is my sweet boyfriend has been invited to go on what would end up being at least a half-day road trip. He'll leave about noon, come home probably late that evening. And it has a lot of elements that I'm really interested in. They're going somewhere super interesting and cool with people who are super fascinating and just of extreme interest to me. I love road trips. I love being outside. I love doing stuff. Like just about everything about it sounds like a yes. And so he and I have talked about it quite a bit. And I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll go. Like there's one thing that's kind of holding me. I've already made a commitment to someone else to say, hey, I was available Tuesday evening. And if I took that back, I kind of don't want to take that back. I want to leave that available. And then now I'm realizing as I keep sitting with it by not being pushed to make a decision right away, that while it sounds really fantastic and I really am interested, I need to stay. That'll be, I need to stay here tomorrow. I have some errands I'd love to run. I have stuff I'd really like to get done. And going on that adventure would be wonderful, but it also would put me just further behind on some stuff that I really could totally accomplish and like get the weight off, and they're time sensitive. I gotta get some stuff done on my daughter's car while I have it. I gotta pack and relocate. I'm moving back into the Hobbit hole in a couple of days, so it's not the right time for an adventure. So it may sound to him like I've already made a full commitment, but I'm also pretty confident that he's going to understand when I say, yeah, I need to stay. I need to relax. I need to soothe my nervous system rather than activate it and wind it up. You go have an adventure. You go enjoy so much, and then please tell me everything you want to tell me about it. That's what sounds fun to me. I also really love sharing stories with people. I love it when they go have an amazing adventure and then they tell me all about it. And it may be one that I'd be like, yeah, that's never going to happen to me in my entire life, and I'm not pursuing it. So thanks for telling me the story. Like I love that. That experience is amazing and exciting and very rich for me. It's as good as I need. And in this moment, I'm noting how, like, what I just described, I've recently come across people writing about that as like a trauma response. And I just watched that movie. Is it called Turning Red? I think so. About a 13-year-old girl who becomes a red panda. It's on the Disney Plus channel or streaming. And she chooses to claim that part of herself. That when she becomes the red panda, this is an implication that she becomes a red panda based on trauma, but it is what happens. Like something really terrible happens to her that she feels extreme emotion about, and it turns her into what some consider to be a monster and some consider to be like the coolest thing ever. So she chooses to claim all of herself wholly and completely. Okay, so that was a little bit of a ramble. Now I'm going to look at my notes, and I'm excited to note a couple of these things. So I would like to improve my tracking of data, but that isn't where my mind is right now. So I can't really report on data points like, how I'm eating or how I'm sleeping, or how I'm caring for my body. And I do want to keep making reports about how the new anxiety reduction medication is showing up for me, and what's some of the things that have happened recently. And I don't feel like talking about that right now. So this is one of the things I talk about. So this morning, Mondays, I have called Mondays Integration Monday for quite some time. Couple of years now. I've tended towards keeping Mondays as open as possible so that I can just really tend to myself that day in whatever way is necessary. If that's naps or more movement, or just lying in bed watching movies, or it's usually rest oriented. It's definitely part of the theme. But once in a while, I'll throw in some activity on a Monday. But it has to be one that I'm pretty confident is going to be nourishing rather than depleting. This morning, I'd slept in a little bit. I'd skipped a women's group that I could have attended from bed, but I decided I needed sleep more. As soon as I finished my Qigong practice, which is something I'm trying to do within minutes of getting up, I got a text from my friend, one of my besties of over 30 years. She said, "Hey, give me a call when you're up or awake," something like that. I was like, I feel all right. I think I can be totally present with her for a bit, and then I need to get some food, and I kind of plan the rest of my morning out a little bit, clean the hot tub and the sauna. So she just kind of wanted to report in how she was feeling and see how I was doing, and she had just said goodbye to her kids for about a week. She wasn't going to see them, and they're grade school age. And she has them half time. And it's hard on her when they're gone for an entire week. It's really hard. And it makes sense. But this is the second time in the past 6 months, I think, that she's had to say goodbye to them for a whole week. And so this time she decided to get out of the house. Last time she stayed home the whole time, even took time off work. This time she's like, I'm getting out of the house. I'm going to go see my dad. He's somewhere sunny. I'm going to get some sun and some away from my house and away from my lifetime. Good job. Very good plan. But today she's just home packing, preparing, cleaning up, and she wants to make sure she takes as good care of herself as possible. And so I was really happy to talk with her about that. She was just going to do some tidying and stuff. And I just said, hey, I don't know if this happens to you, but, where you're cleaning up and something maybe of missing them or something, sadness or something, anger, something comes up, just go ahead and just let it out. Like, you have the whole house to yourself. Just try and think of emotions as energy that needs to move. And if you don't let it move when it comes up, then it gets stuck in your body and it gets really heavy. That's an issue I keep having. That's an aside. But there's also a limit to it. You got to make sure you're not re-traumatizing yourself. That's a problem I keep having too. Yeah, I just let her tell me what her plan was. She was going to go for a walk. She was going to a couple other things and this and that. And just a few minutes ago, I actually texted her and said, hey, here's an idea. Blast some tunes and dance your booty off like you used to at the club. And I had all these visions of her just dancing her ass off. We drank a lot then, but and we don't now. I drink not at all, and she drinks very, very lightly. Um, but yeah, we used to really get our booty going at different clubs in Portland, pre 2000s Portland, especially. Mid 90s was our jam, our time, late 90s. So, such a stereotype. Okay, what else did I want to say? Okay, so another thing that we talked about. Well, and I said how I'm taking care of myself. You know, I only have a few more days in this what feels like a retreat house. This is just such a beautiful space. It's quiet and gentle, and I have a dog sleeping in my arm right now. It's amazing. Love it. She's snoring a little bit. And yeah, so I'm indulging in all the pleasures of being in this space and feeling really safe and secure and cared for, and everything is easy as best I can. Yeah, it's kind of a nervous system reset. And I am turning 50 this year. It's 2022 as I record this, March 2022. And she's not quite yet. She's a few years younger than I am. And I intend to spend the next 50 plus years of my life in a completely way more gentle way than I spent the first 50. So, yeah, I keep getting these frogs in my throat. Sorry about all the throat clearing. But then that's me apologizing for like a natural behavior, a natural thing that just is a way of energy moving. I've always burped a lot, and that is definitely a really profound way for energy to move. But I was taught very young that it's disgusting and don't do that. And oh my God, you make me gag. Will you please don't burp like that? And then there's my brothers who are like, oh my God, you're the best burper ever. We tell all our friends and invite you to have burping contests with us. Anyway, natural ways that energy can want to move that is shamed. I've experienced that at many, many levels. That's not what Laura and I were talking about, my bestie and I. This is one of the things we talked about, was how different the education system is. Let's hear what she's saying. Oh, she's like, I do that all the time. Because I had texted her, dance your booty off. She said, I do that all the time. Good. Awesome. The difference in generations. So her mother is in her 70s already. Well into her, I think, late 70s already. My mother is not yet 70. So there's almost a generation of age gap just between my mom and my best friend's mom. And then, because my mom was only 18 when she had me. So I know she's young on this compared to most people about my age. Yet, she still had a completely different experience in the education system even than I did versus what Laura did versus what even though she and I are almost the same age versus like what my kid did versus what her kids are. So we were just kind of looking at the education system across the span of these generations and how much it's changed. And so, for example, when my mom was in elementary school, it was common practice for the teachers to hit the children with paddles. That was like totally freaking common. And it wasn't uncommon for things to escalate and be even more violent than that in the actual classroom. This kind of behavior would happen. My stepdad was telling me a story recently where he was laughing about it. And I was horrified. He was like, yeah, the teacher was so pissed and he lined every kid in the class up and every single one of us was getting a paddle, and then the paddle broke and he took his shoe off and just started throwing shoes at kids, and he would pick them back up and throw on shoes, and I'm just like, what grade were you in? And I don't remember, but I envisioned him kind of in the like 5th grade range, somewhere in there. I can't, but I'm not confident that's what he said. So that was my mom's upbringing. My stepdad didn't raise me, but he's indicative. He's about the same age of the man who did raise me, the stepdad that did raise me. So they had similarly violent childhoods too. The stepdad I grew up with, and the stepdad that I now have. And my mom had a very violent upbringing, also in a lot of ways. So then there's we jumped to college, and I was saying how I'm kind of recreating my college experience in that I am really passionate about about education for myself, re-educating myself in some ways, exploring new systems on how to like keep myself organized and moving through life in a fairly reasonable way. And I was saying how hard college was for me. There was so much I loved about it, but it was so hard for me because we did not have the internet yet. Sort of, it kind of existed, but it wasn't something that I had very much experience with personally, and that was totally normal. We were talking about textbooks a lot. Now I'm pissed that there's like ways that you can rent textbooks now, and then and it's totally affordable, whereas when we were in college we had to spend hundreds of dollars on these textbooks that we then had almost no resale value and almost no way of getting rid of them, and we would only need them for 3 to 6 months, and it was just so fucking infuriating. And now there's so many ways to have easy, affordable access to textbooks. And what I'm doing now for class, compared to then, like if you miss class, you fucking miss class, and you might be able to find somebody who took decent notes and kind of get a sense of what was talked about in the lecture, but probably not. Now I can be laying on my couch whenever I want and cuddling a dog. I can take breaks. I can play it. I can pause it and be like, wow, they just said something amazing, and rewind it. I can rewind it a few times if I want to keep taking some notes. I mean, it's so perfect. And I can do it when my brain can receive information rather than just the fucking time that was just fucking picked. If you're not here at 2:30, you do not learn statistics. God, that was a brutal class. I slept through almost every single one, even if I was sitting in the front row. Awful. Let's see, what else did we talk about? The other thing I forgot to say is, since my mom was a teen pregnancy back then in the early 70s, if you were a teen pregnancy, you got kicked out of normal high school. Even if it was just like your neighborhood high school, you get kicked out because you're pregnant. No one wants to see that. And you have to go to the alternative school, which is where, the kids who punch kids, who punch people or do like really scary things, or, the kids who are in the alternative school, maybe for a good reason, but now you're putting also a pregnant girl in there, because we, nice girls don't get pregnant. So you got to go somewhere else to finish your education. That's what happened to my mom when she got pregnant with me. And then my friend was like, oh my God, I was just talking to this freshman who's at Grant High here in Portland, and they have a daycare in their basement. I mean, and it's turned into a course even. Like it's a business class, I think, as well as an actual working daycare for the children of the teenage girls who go to school there, so they can continue their education in person and at their school. So that's another huge shift in just one generation. Okay, I already talked about hitting in class. And yeah, I guess that was it. Those were the main notes, the things that I wanted to talk about. So yeah, back to Integration Monday. By integration, I mean kind of learning what I need to learn from my past, as well as the information that's coming through to me now in my courses, and let my body recover and rest. I am uh, intensely impacted by being around other people's energy, as well as processing my own energy. And yeah, currently in a state where it feels really good to spend a lot of time alone, maybe just with the dog. And then that's another thing that's on my mind is just saw this Teal Swan video where she's talking about like, you're being totally inauthentic. If you feel like you need to spend a lot of time alone, you are afraid to show your true self to people. But we are social beings. We're supposed to be around people. I think she's being a little too, I think there's a range. That's what I think. It's not all or nothing, Teal and everybody else who talks about in absolutes like that. Yeah, which has started a thought process around like extreme folks who have experienced extreme trauma. And the thing is that if you're like a highly sensitive person, even if like if a non-highly sensitive person experienced the exact same event, it may be traumatic, but it becomes an extremely traumatic event when one of the ways something can become extremely traumatic event is when the person receiving it is just highly sensitive, because they're receiving just like 60% more impact and information from that upsetting event. So I don't know where I was going with that, but so what are my goals for this week? I am moving on Thursday. I'd like that to be as easeful and gentle a process as possible. I have a fridge full of very easy to prepare, nutritious food. Yay. I have, I believe I have just about everything I need, so that's possible if I only have to leave the house just for like, a time sensitive errand, like to go get my boyfriend or something. He might come over tonight. Yeah, an emphasis on supporting myself, resetting this pattern that I've been in of extreme exhaustion and then recovery just to a point, just to a basic level point, and then I kind of fall back down again. Usually I get hit again. So I got to continue to build my resiliency, and I'm doing that through nutrition and rest and appropriate, gentle, emotional release practices, therapy, and recently added an anti-anxiety medication or an anxiety reduction medication. So lots of water, keeping an eye on the stimulants. Coffee's a little bit of a no-no that I continue to engage in. Sugar, it's also less than ideal, but there's only so much that I can cut out right now. So, okay. And I have some very specific activities that need to be completed. So I have a note here, very specific bullet points that are achievable, like including some time with my new class that I just invested in to learn about how I can flow with the moon phases and plan my activities and tasks and rest time around the moon phases. I'm really excited because it feels like something I've been asking for a long time. And I'm going to utilize the hot tub and the sauna to the maximum extent possible. No, that's not true. So when I say that, that means I am likely to get in each of them once per day, not like I'm in there all day. I know that there's a range of maximum possible. For me, once a day would be probably maximum possible. There might be one day, like today, I'll get in twice to the hot tub. Okay. it's time for me to move on to the next segment of my day. Thank you for being on the receiving end. I imagine at some point I'll break this video up into shorter little segments because I know that there were some little things that I talked about that could just be like a standalone thing. But mostly it's kind of a way of I like to keep track of where I'm at, how I'm doing. It's also a way that I get to come back later and listen to myself and see myself and then go, okay, so all right, so this vision that I have in my head of what I act like and who I am is completely different than what I'm seeing now. So I need to reconcile that. And I don't know, I have not read much about body dysmorphia. I don't understand it, but the little bits that I feel like I've picked up from a few people who self-identify as that being a significant issue for them, I feel like the way I see myself inaccurately is like adjacent, is in some ways similar to what is recognized, I believe, as body dysmorphia. But it's my whole, like, everything about me that I perceive in a typically darker fashion or less flattering fashion than when I watch myself and I'm like, interesting, this feels different. This chick's actually kind of pretty. She sounds pretty smart. Huh, interesting. That's me from like this time frame. Okay, all done. Are we all done? Yeah, that was a good nap, Heather. Thanks. I like napping on your lap. Yeah. Oh, I like having you nap on my lap. It's quite lovely. Thank you. Let's get lots of Molly naps, okay? Yeah, okay. All right. Thanks for being on the receiving end. Have a great rest of your day. Choose, one breath, one moment at a time. Take it from there. Okay. Bye.